Every day, many patients walk into their doctor's offices for diagnosis or treatment of their glaucoma. 3 million people are living with glaucoma, and their numbers increase further each year. In order to combat this problem, a new drug has been designed by researchers and is currently awaiting FDA approval. Our tomographer would help researchers and doctors to track the effectiveness of these drugs by measuring the change in intraocular pressure over time. Glaucoma is a very serious eye condition in which high intraocular pressure causes irreversible damage to the optic nerve. Pop! The importance of aqueous humor tomography is well established. Tomography outcomes provide essential information and facilitate exploration of the ocular manifestations of systemic diseases. However, tomography is rarely used in daily clinical settings, mainly due to the outdated nature of the equipment used for tomography. The exams take a long period of time, which is not optimal for the time constraints in hospitals and medical offices. Moreover, prevalent tomographic settings suffer from poor repeatability, which limits their clinical usefulness. On the other hand, data collection and processing using traditional tomographers is difficult because they do not provide digital output, automated assessment of the outflow facility, or evaluation of the impact of a series of known modifiers of the outflow facility. After having first-hand experience with caring for a family member who was diagnosed with glaucoma, our academic advisor, Ron Lasser, learned more about the current state of this technology and felt that there was room for improvement on the currently available devices. The proposed device is an extension of an earlier investigation, and we believe this device can have a commercial impact. There are a growing number of intraocular pressure lowering drugs being evaluated by the FDA that require testing to determine their effectiveness on humans. This device has the ability in clinical trials to deliver quick and accurate results, helping the ophthalmologist select the correct prescription for the patient, reducing trial and error in patient treatment. Additionally, the device is highly useful in an ophthalmologist's office to screen patients during normal office visits. Early detection of the condition can lead to early and simpler treatments. A new user interface with more considerations regarding human factors and ergonomics should allow for greater ease of use and digital measurement to increase patients' measurement by an ophthalmologist and their medical staff. 5 students banded together to take on this challenge. Each of us saw this as an opportunity to apply our skills to help people. We pooled our collective knowledge of engineering psychology, electronics, biomedical sensors, ergonomics, software engineering, industrial design, microcontrollers, and wireless communication. After performing a literature review, interviewing medical staff, and testing existing tomography devices, the outcome was our current design, a digital device largely based on the fundamental design of a typical Schultz tomographer with a series of improvements that address the series of vulnerabilities of traditional tomographers. In order to fully understand the problem, we wanted to put ourselves in the patient's shoes, so we went to meet with ophthalmologist Dr. Mark Latina. Dr. Latina is a glaucoma specialist and is very knowledgeable about the current tomographic technology.
Dr. Latina made it clear that he wanted this device to display information on a computer screen. The probe circuitry that we're using is all analog, so the problem was that we needed to get the analog signal into a digital signal that the computer could use. In order to give the user more flexibility with their office setup, we decided that the signal should be sent wirelessly to the computer. To this end, we opted to use an Arduino Uno to take the analog signal and convert it to digital. The Arduino Uno is a microcontroller that's compatible with several modular components called shields to expand its function. We fitted the Arduino Uno with an XP shield that could send data wirelessly to the computer. XP is a wireless protocol that transmits data at radio frequencies between 2 devices that are relatively close, or about 10 meters.
Before we settled on using XP, we tried using Bluetooth Shield to transfer the signal from the circuit to the PC. This approach was not effective, as we had to ping the Bluetooth before receiving anything from it. When we tried to receive the data without pinging the shield, we were not able to connect the circuit to the PC. After spending plenty of time reading the manuals of the Bluetooth Shield, we were able to get it to work. However, the results did not meet our expectation. The fact that it works most of the time was not sufficient to adopt this approach. This inconsistency caused us to look for something new. Eventually, we settled on using XPs, which work well and give us more consistent results.
The current interface consists of a needle and graph paper. As you can imagine, this isn't entirely user-friendly. Ophthalmologists have to rip up the paper from the device and derive the intraocular pressure manually. As a human factors engineer, I work closely with McCall, a computer science engineer, to develop a computerized interface that was both user-friendly and would automatically calculate the intraocular pressure for the doctor.
It was a lot easier to picture an interface after working with a human factors engineer. Bianca provided me with the vision, and I implemented it using my experience with the programming language Python, which I applied to create a WX-Python interface. WX-Python is a toolkit that allows Python programmers like me to create highly functional graphical user interfaces. The user interface was designed in a way that would respond to the needs and requirements of anyone on the medical staff, not just the doctor. It is simple, clean, and easy to read. Part of the user interface runs a digitized version of the current sonographer, displaying the live updating graph, which I feel is important to note, has been made more accurate because each data point graph is actually a sample average determined from a number of data points that depends on the frequency. It also automates the tedious calculations based on the data that until now has been done by hand. A final example of the updates we have made is that the interface has features that enable the transfer of examination record information between the user and a database. The actual exam record can be saved as well as loaded. The user will populate the required fields of patient name, date of birth, and the preliminary information required for the previously mentioned calculation. Upon exiting the program, if the user wants to save the record, the information is stored in a database that in turn produces both a comma-separated value format output as well as a more clean-cut HTML output. The ability to produce these outputs is significant as the capability of saving relevant data from the exams is critical at a time where there is a mass movement for medical professionals to move records from paper to digital.